Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to start off just by saying that my camera decided to not capture some of this footage, so I apologize in advance that it's not all there. What I'm doing right now is creating the inside of a framed soap. So my idea was to kind of make this like birch tree looking inner soap with a sunset-ish frame on the outside. Now, I've never done a frame before, but I've done an ombre and I've done the birch style. So I thought I would combine the styles and create this sunset frame around a birch tree. So anyway, I guess I'll go ahead and talk about the birch tree here. So I just used my regular recipe, and the fragrance is called Cracklin' Birch. And it's a really nice fragrance. It's pretty unisex, leaning more masculine. And I got it from Nature's Garden Candle. The color that the color scheme I'm using is the gray hue, which I'm not using a whole lot of it. And then I'm also doing white, my signature white champagne. While I was doing this, I also decided to create a mica line in the middle with my Luna color, which it kind of has these shifting properties. It's really pretty and looks best as a mica vein or a mica line. So if you want to use something, it's from Mad Micas. If you want to use something that's shifting, it's just better to use it that way. So what I'm doing here is I'm putting my gray shade inside of a squirt bottle, because the way I'm going to do the birch technique is that I'm just going to pour my white in here and then create kind of like, it's like a spoon swirl or a very toned down spoon swirl. So I'm just putting some lines of the gray in there to kind of give it some randomness. But you have to be careful when you're putting the white back on top, because you don't want to swirl that line in there by just dumping the white. So I'm trying my hardest to just cover it with some of that white. And it's also best in this case to use a somewhat more traced soap batter than like a lot of swirls and stuff do well with very thin trace, but this one is better with more medium trace. And since this fragrance oil, it behaves pretty well, I wasn't too worried about it. But again, you don't want it to be real thick either, like thick trace, because then you start getting into the point of no return where it just starts speeding off on you, and you don't want that to happen either. So as you can tell here, with this birch soap, I'm just creating these like random lines in the middle, and the fact that they're not perfectly straight is actually better, because when you cut it, you want them to have this like organic look of birch trees. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to create that mica line, and I'm creating a little bit of a texture, and I want to remove like what's on the side there just to make it as clean as I possibly can. So I just take my Luna, and I have my little sifter, I guess you could call it. I don't know, it's like a little colander handheld. I don't even remember where I got this, to be honest. I've had it forever. But then I just pat some of this mica on the top, and then I'll give it a spritz of alcohol to help spread it out. But you can kind of see that there's like the duochrome in there. It's kind of got a bluish silver look to it. It's really pretty, but I will tell you, ultimately, you can hardly see it in the end result, which kind of is a bummer, but it is what it is. So yeah, real shiny. So then what I'm going to do is just, make sure that it's really clean too, because when you start putting the next layers on, you don't want to smear your mica. So then I'm just going to put another layer of white on top and continue on with the birch style. So another thing that I will tell you, you could see that it's getting a little bit thicker, is that when you have the squirt bottle like that, the thicker it gets, the harder it is to push out. So you can see it kind of stutters a little bit. And now I'm starting to hurry because I want to get this done before it starts to harden. And, again, like I said, this fragrance oil does behave pretty well, but soap is soap and it's going to speed up. And even though I'm being kind of a perfectionist with this in a little bit. You don't have to do that. You just, I mean, especially with the birch, again, you just want it to be as organic as possible. And yeah, so I kind of wish I had sprayed it a little bit more at the bottom than I did with just the single lines, but I didn't. And here we are. So sorry to switch gears, but here we are mixing colors for the sunset. So what happened is my camera just cut off while I was filming. I don't know if I was using my GoPro to do it. I don't know if it just ran out of battery, even though I don't know if I had it plugged in or not, but either way, it just cut off the end. But it doesn't matter because it was just a lot of the same. So basically I'm just using my white champagne, my banana boat yellow, lapis blue, and this lab pink color. I don't think you can buy this, but if you can, I will link it in the description below. But this was just a sample I received from Mad Micas as part of their lab experiment series. And it is really pretty. It's like a really nice pink, and it's got like this silver sparkle in it, which would look really great as like a topper. I'm using it to color soap, so you can't really see that silver sparkle. So I also forgot to film the pouring of the bottom. So what I did for this frame is, in order to hold that birch chunk, I needed to have something solid for it to sit on. So what I did was my goal was to create like a gradient going from blue to yellow at the top to create the sunset color. And so I just laid a foundation of blue at the bottom, and it's maybe about a 1/4 inch thick. And you can see it there at the very top. For this, I am measuring out all the weights for the colors. I mean, again, you got to work a little bit fast, and this fragrance does behave pretty well, so I wasn't too worried about it. But with a complex gradient like I wanted, well, which I had in my mind, it's important to work a little bit faster. I made this soap a while ago, so I'm not sure how much I weighed out for each color, but I do have 4 full colors here. So if I were to guess, I probably just measured them out equally among the batch. But basically my goal, again, like I said earlier, was to create like a blue to yellow gradient. But if you know your color theory, you can't really do blue to yellow without creating a green, and there is no real green in the sky. So I put pink in between to kind of create this, I guess, purple and orange. So I don't know, it looks more like a sunset, and it does turn out okay, but I didn't really account for the color difference from the first layer that I poured that hardened up versus the blue that I have here. So it does, there is a stark line there, and I don't know what happened. I put quite a bit of blue in that first layer, so yeah, I don't know why this one ended up looking a little bit darker. But the other thing I did not film was the birch block that I have there. You can see it there on the right in there it is. So I took it out. It was a full thing of soap, and I had to trim everything to make this frame. So I trimmed about a 1/4 inch off the side. And I think I overdid the top. So I did this by hand. I don't have any special tools to create perfect lines. So yeah, it's not perfect, but yeah. Anyway, I think it turned out okay, but it's just not a great frame. So the thing I didn't account for, and you would think I would know better, is the fact that it doesn't take much to fill in that little gap there. So I was seeing that the blue was coming out near the top quicker than I anticipated. So I'm adding white to it, but the gradient from that is just not very great, just because it's too gradual for as fast as it was filling up on the sides. So I gave up on the blue and started going with the pink. So I pour the raw pink in there before adding any white. And again, it's just, since it's so thin right there, it just, the gradient isn't as gradual as I had hoped it would be. I had a lot of leftover soap here, so I ended up with so much extra soap. So yeah, I mean, that's okay. Lesson learned. I know people do this in different ways with the frame. But again, I don't have special tools to create perfect lines. I know one of the ways to do that is to create a log and then cut off the sides and do it that way. But yeah, I don't have those special tools, and I don't plan on buying them anytime soon because they are extraordinarily expensive. So what I decided to do instead of adding white to the pink is I started adding just the yellow to the pink to create that orange gradient. And I did have a little bit of extra room on the top to play around with a little bit more because I cut I cut too much off the top of the birch block. So anyway, but I did end up just going in with the yellow because it was just too much of a, gradual gradient that I couldn't achieve. So I just did that. But the way I mixed it in there, it did end up looking all right. And I would say this is about a medium to thick trace. And my camera cut off again, and now we're at the finished product. So I just cut this the usual way. There's nothing special about how to cut this part. So you can see I have my miter box out and just follow the usual way that I do things, and I have them all kind of marked up beforehand. So anyway, so I cut them down the top like that, and it was a little too tall for my cutter, so I ended up smooshing the top a little bit on that first one. So I'm turning it to the side here to make it a little bit easier to cut through. So I think for this one, like I said, I made it a while ago, so I don't really remember exactly the details, but maybe I made them a little bit thicker bars for whatever reason. I don't know. But anyway, you can see the birch in the middle, you see the little mica line, and you can also tell that the bottom, well, I guess the quote unquote bottom is actually the top now, where I only did like fat lines, and then I started doing a lot more, I don't know. I guess if you have more time to work on it too, as far as the birch design is concerned, you can create more of those little speckles in like a more random pattern. To me, it looks a little bit more of like in a straight line than it should be, but the mica line is kind of cool. It doesn't show up terribly well, but it is kind of cool there. But you can also see the very light blue bottom that I poured first before doing that gradient. I do like how it turned out with this. It looks like a sun in the top with that yellow. So it wasn't a perfect gradient, but anyway. So here are the colors. The white champagne is the birch, the gray is the little lines in the birch, the lapis blue is the blue, the pink, the banana boat yellow, and then there's the Luna mica line. And yeah, so I think it looks all right, but the fragrance is crackling birch, and you can get that from Nature's Garden Candles, and for future reference, it does behave very well. You could see how it behaved in the video. And here's the final product. I think it looks kind of cool. I wish that line was a little less pronounced, but it is what it is, and it smells really awesome. So I'm not upset about it, and I will list them on my website for sale and probably at a discounted rate. But anyway, that is all for today. If you liked this, just like, comment, share, and subscribe if you're not subscribed. And remember, I have a newsletter at ariholdingauthor.com that takes you to my Substack. But that's it for now, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!